Hello, this is Mr. McMurray again, and here we are naming skeletal muscles. This is what the next section has to do with. I'm going to go over some examples here, and then we'll talk about the answers on number 21. Okay, first of all, we name things sometimes by the direction of the muscle fibers. For example, rectus means that they go straight up and down. Your abs, there's just right above your abs, there are muscles which are rectus, abdominis. Okay, rectus means they go straight up and down. You have other ones that are oblique. That means they come at an angle, okay, across. And so that's one thing that they can be named for, that by the direction. Also by size, maximus or magnus tends to mean big, stuff like that. Minimus would mean small, things like that. Okay, the location, the region of the body. Your temporalis would be around the temporal bone up here. This is a muscle you can feel inside your head there. Your glutamus maximus is your rear. It's in the gluteal region, and some of those regions that we talked about, you'll start seeing those in the names. And by the number of origins, or how many places does it attach to the bone. Triceps, for example, has 2. Biceps has, triceps has 3. Biceps has 2. Quadriceps has 4, so forth. And so I don't think they call it uniceps. They just kind of assume if there's just one, they leave it at that. But if it has more than one place that it attaches, then that is what it's called. All right. So if you look at number, let me see if there's anything else first of all before I do that. I can't remember on the other side. Oh, here we go. Okay. We may put it by location of where its origin or its insertion is. Sterno, for example, I mean the sternum. Carpet, or maybe had to do with the carpals and so forth like that. So femoris have to do with the femur. All right, the shape of the muscle, deltoid, your delts, which are back here, triangular shape on your shoulders, I should say, are kind of triangular, rounded triangle, but there you go. Deltoid, there's a trapezoid on your back, which is more diamond shaped, and so forth, okay? The action of the muscle, what does it do, okay? If it flexes or brings the muscle in, like when we do curls, that would be a flexor, okay? Extensor means it extends it. Abduct takes away from the body. Adductor brings it to the body. We'll talk more about those movements here in a little bit. And there we go. Okay, so we're not going to worry about those right now. All right, so let's look at the worksheet number 21. Gluteus maximus. Gluteus refers to a region, so that would be E, and maximus has to do with size, and so that would be G. Adductor magnus. Magnus has to do with size, so that would also be G. And adductor means you bring it to your body, okay? And so that would be the action of the muscle, all right, or A. Biceps has to do with how a number of origins, which is D. And femoris is E, which is the location to the bone or body region, and then your femoral region and your femur are all around your leg. Okay, so it's be on the back of your leg, kind of like your biceps here, but on the back of your leg. All right. Number 4, transversus abdominis. Abdominis has to do with a region or an area. Okay, so it's your abdomen area. And transverse means it goes from side to side, so that would have to do with the direction, or F. Number 5, extensor is an action of the muscle, so that would be A. It's extending something. Carpe and ulnus has to do with where the origin and insertions are, so that would be on C. So that would be at extensor muscle, and it would go from your carpals to your ulna, and that would probably be when you flop your hand like that. You're extending it or opening it right there, so all right, and so there. All right. Number 6, trapezius is in your back, and that's the size or shape of the muscle, so B. Number 7, rectus means straight up and down, all right, and this is on your femur, so that would be F. Rectus is the direction, and femoris is the region or bone that's near. And number 8, external, oblique. Oblique means it runs at an angle, so we're going to call that my brain just went dead, sorry. External oblique is going to be the direction, or F. Okay, external kind of tells whether it's on the inside or the outside, so we're going to say the location of the muscle relative to a bone or body region, although that one's kind of different, but external means on the outside. You always have external, internal. You could have a medial or middle one. But anyhow, there we go. All right, and that's number 21, FE for the last one. Now, number 22, the kissing muscle. If you look on your paper, there's one that goes right around all your lips here, and that's the orbicularis oris. Oris, as in oral, has to do with the mouth. Orbiculus has to do with circular around, so circular muscle around the mouth. All right. And number 23, and here's Valentine's Day coming in. You can use your orbicularis oris muscle possibly. All right. Number 23, what are the benefits or risk of using steroids? All right, steroids basically are testosterone or some version of something your body can turn into testosterone. And so anabolic steroids we talk about, but that's basically what we're talking about here. Benefits, it does increase your muscle mass. It also increases the strength, so you have bulkier muscle and more of it and stronger. It increases the ability of your body to carry oxygen to it. And depending on whether you call this a benefit or risk, it also gives for more aggressive behavior, which in a lot of sports, hockey, football, etc., that's probably considered a positive as far as how well they play the game. I would have to differ, but that's okay. Risk, you have bloating of the face, shriveled testes, and infertility. Interesting enough, you're getting too much testosterone can actually hurt your fertility and your testes. Damage your liver cancer, increased chances of liver cancer, cause changes in cholesterol because cholesterol is used to make testosterone, so it kind of can affect that as well. And once again, the aggressive behavior, rage, things like that really mess with emotional problems, psychiatric problems that are effects of that. And so overall, no. Now, there are other things. Growth hormone is a biggie thing now, and a lot of people, whether they're athletes or not, take this because as your body slows down, there's certain your testosterone levels, your growth hormone, and all these other things. A lot of people are contracted by growth hormone, and your metabolism slows down. And if people take growth hormone, that kind of speeds all that back up. I don't know. Can't say I would never use it, I guess, but I really don't think so. It seems like you're kind of cheating there. And I'm kind of thinking there's going to end up being some side effects there, but that's just me. All right. Number 24. In muscular dystrophy, you've probably heard of MD or muscular dystrophy, and there are lots of different kinds and varieties of muscular dystrophy. But basically, your muscles begin to enlarge, which you think, oh, that sounds good, but it's because there's a bunch of fat and connective tissue deposits in them. And basically, they interfere with the muscle, and eventually the muscle fibers begin to degenerate and atrophy, and it's kind of characterized by a progressive loss of function, okay? And eventually they cannot feed themselves, cannot dress themselves. It gets to be the wheelchair, and it just kind of gets worse and worse, depending on the kind and how quickly it happens. And eventually, the lungs will not work properly, and they usually die from complications of that. All right, so that's muscular dystrophy. A lot of work on that, but they're trying to slow the progress of it down and stuff, but there is no cure for it as of now. All right. It says, how is the muscular system associated with loss of body weight? Number 25, as you age, we get a lot more connective tissue, but we get less muscle tissue, and so a lot of times you will see older people look more gaunt, kind of very thin, some of his skin and bones, but some of that is kind of a natural thing of that. You can prevent some of that by exercising regularly. I mean, it's still going to kind of happen, but not as nearly as bad or as much, and as well as strengthening your bones and putting you in better health. Exercise is strongly suggested. All right. All right. The next one, hang on, let me pause for a second. All right, here we go. First of all, number 1 says connective tissue surrounding a bundle of muscle fibers or cells, okay? Well, we said, I think in the intro, this is a myofibril. That's one fiber inside. This is a muscle cell, so that is a muscle fiber or muscle cell, this whole thing here. Now, the stuff in between them, around those, would be the I'm sorry, and this would be a bundle of those, which is here, sorry, okay, and so the stuff in between the bundles, I'm sorry, would be F, or the paramecium, okay? So we have a myofibril, which is one piece of a muscle fiber or cell, and there's stuff that carries in between each of those, and then there's these bundles called fascicles, and the stuff in between those bundles or fascicles would be the paramecium. Para means around, and so it goes around them. Number 2, connective tissue that wraps around the entire muscle. That would be this tissue on the outside here that wraps around the whole thing. That would be the epimecium, all right, which is B. One muscle cell or a muscle fiber would be a muscle fiber, which is C. And over here, this would be the muscle fiber. This whole thing here would be a muscle fiber, okay? Number 4, thin connective tissue insulating each muscle cell. So here's one muscle cell, these are muscle cells, okay? And so the stuff in between them, which would be this white stuff in between here, would be the endomecium, which is A, okay? And H is the cord-like extension of connective tissue beyond the muscle. It attaches it to the bone. That would be down here. That would be the tendon, or H. Number 6, a bundle of muscle cells would be D, a fascicle. And that would be this whole, let me see where things are. Okay, right there. That whole bundle thing sticking out right there. That would be a fascicle, all right, which is letter D. Number 7, plasma membrane of a muscle cell is the sarcolemma. Okay, so G, if you were doing it on the drawing here, it would be this outer coating here on the muscle cell. This is the muscle cell. This outer coating on it, however you want to mark that, that's just the coating, is the sarcolemma. And finally, microfilaments found in the muscle cell are E, myofibrils, and that would be the myofibril right there. Okay? All right, so that does that. Now, that leaves us basically with the different movements, okay? I'm going to go through them first. Oops, here. All right, this is a interruption of this. We're not going to have time to finish it the way I was doing it, and so rather than do a whole new video, let me just do this a little quicker. Okay, number 1, flexion. Flexion is when you bring, so you have straight line, if you bring the bones closer together, basically you bend it in, okay? So on this is C and E, that would be your knee and your elbow where that happens. Okay, number 2 is opposition. About the only place we have that, we talk about opposable thumbs, which makes people able to use tools, okay? So basically where your thumb and finger come together, which is A. Plantar flexion, which is G, when you point your toe, if you're up on tippy toes, that would be plantar flexion. A ballerina would use that. Number 4, circumduction is when you go in a circle. You could do a circle with your arm, but you could also do it, she does it with her leg, so it would be F. Number 15 would be, number 5, excuse me, is abduction. If you abduct, you're taking someone away. So if you take an arm away from your body or away from the midline of your body, that is considered abduction. And so that would be D. And then she's moving her arm away. It's bent there, but she's moving her arm away from the body. So if you're taking your arm up or away from your body, that's abduct. Like you abduct somebody. I is if she's spreading her fingers apart, so she's spreading them away from each other from the midline of her hand, I guess. And so basically, that's considered it. Adduction is the opposite. Bring it together or bring it to your body, which is 6, and that would be K. Okay, she'd bring your body to her side. Add, you're adding it to your body. So think adduction is to abduct, you're taking away somebody. All right, number 7 is rotation. It could be your neck. You rotate that. You can kind of rotate the arms in your radius and ulna. You could also do it with your foot and tilt your foot toe in or tilt your toe out. If toward the middle, it's medial rotation. If it's toward the outside, it would be lateral rotation. But anyhow, number 8, extension. We said just the opposite of flexion. When you straighten it out or make a 180 degree, that's extension. Now, if you overdo it and go too far backwards, that would be hyperextension. For example, in your head, this would be flexion. You're bending your chin closer to your thing. 180 degrees, straight up and down, that would be extension. And if you lean it back, that would technically be hyperextended. Now, if you get hit beyond what it's supposed to do on your elbow or finger get jammed back, that's hyperextension, which is number 12, and that is B. Okay, but extension would be L on this one, where we straighten the arm out. Number 9, pronation and supination. Pronation is when you tilt it so that the back of your hand is showing. So this is supination, and this is pronation. So for your paper, pronation is J, supination 11 is M. Okay, supplication. I always think of you're making supplication. If you're begging, please, 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 you always put palms up. I don't know why. You're asking for things, I guess. Anyhow,